Our thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the cell door being unlocked. The door squeaked as it opened. A voice said in a low whisper, "Tolo, come." Tolo stretched, rolling his shoulders as he got up from the rock floor. He went outside the cell and said, "Well, I thought that you all wanted out of here." The voice hushed him. We couldn't see who it was, but as we were walking to the door, we noticed that Januka didn't get up, so I went to him. "Januka, we need to go." He looked down at the pup, who was now asleep. "I shall stay here with him." I knew I couldn't talk him out of it. He was very stubborn, so I gave him the last Invisa berries as I had named them, placing them on the ground next to him. "You might need these." The voice outside the door said, "We must go now before the weevils return." So I left Januka and the pup, hoping that they would be safe as I exited the cell. The door was closed. Turning to see who the voice belonged to, it was an old dog, but not a weevil. It had a face like a bulldog in a way, but the eyes were more open. His body was covered with the symbols seen on the other weevils. Tolo said, "Donzer, I thought perhaps you couldn't come. What, and let you have all the thrills?" Killen spoke up, "What are you? Surely not a weevil." Donzer replied in an old smooth voice, "I am not of this world, and I am not of this form. I am here to bring the 7 back." Killen said, "So soon? The time has been upon us for some time." Lily and I didn't follow this conversation, but I questioned, "How can we trust you? You're full of those symbols." "My princess, I assure you, these symbols will wash off. They are my disguise to roam the castle freely." I looked closely at his symbols, to see a small smudge. He was telling the truth. "You must move on quickly. Go to the chamber. She will be going there within minutes." "You mean Lady Lanu, are you coming?" asked Lily. Donzer smiled his best dog smile. "Princess Lily, some things are left for others to finish. I have done my part in your story that is unfolding itself before you." Tolo said, "Thank you, my friend, but you should make your way from the castle." Donzer nodded in agreement and walked off in the direction opposite of the direction we were to go. Lily and I climbed on Tolo and Killen. Tolo led us from passage to passage, dodging the eyes of the weevils that watched over the cells. We knew we drew closer to the chamber, as the guards grew in number. We finally came to a passage that led to a large wall. Tolo tried an attempt to climb it, but to no avail. He was too weak to climb the wall with my extra weight. "Killen, could you?" "Of course I'll carry her." Killen interrupted, so I slid off Tolo's back and climbed on behind Lily. Tolo tried again to grasp the rocks. Jumping side to side on the passage walls, he made his way to the top. Killen had no problem flying up. Even with the extra weight, he made the flight easily. On top of the tunnel was a hallway that led to a large room, a wooden table filled to the edges with concoctions and books. Killen said, "This must be her place where she performs her magic." Tolo lowered his voice. I feel her presence coming close. A new voice from behind a curtain said, "Tolo, I see you've made it back in time before your curse has covered you. Well done." A pure black weevil walked out from behind the curtain. He was pure evil. His body was consumed in the symbols that showed to all how evil each creature had become. He was proud of his markings as he growled out, "I shall finish you before you hurt my lady." Tolo turned as the weevil jumped past him to the other side. He had started to circle around Tolo, baring his teeth. Tolo took a swipe at him, but missed. Killen stood in front of us, trying to keep us hidden. The weevil said, "You grow weak and slow. This shall be an easy kill." With that, he jumped on Tolo, pushing him to the ground. Tolo snarled, "Finish me, if you can do so without Lady Lanu's command." The weevil hissed a short laugh as his teeth surrounded Tolo's neck, ready to break it. Without hesitation, both Lily and I screamed no as he began to tighten his grip. Tolo, trying to get a breath, gasped, "Killen, a favor I ask, don't let them see me die." Killen put his strong arms over us, turning us from the sight, but as we listened for his death, crying loudly on Killen's arms, we heard a yelp. We quickly turned to see the weevil lying on the floor, trying to get up, but he seemed to be pinned. As we watched this, a form slowly became visible. It was Januka holding the weevil down. "Son, what are you doing?" The weevil stopped moving. "You are not my father, nor am I your son." Januka said, "I love you, son, but you can't kill any longer. I no longer listen to the clan except my lady." With that, a woman's voice crept from behind us. "Well said, my son. Come to me." Januka released his son. His son crawled on his belly past us to the beautiful lady we had seen in the forest. He wagged his tail, questioning her mood, as she hit him with her staff. He positioned himself beside her and walked with her, as she walked to us and said, "My daughters, you have come." A strange feeling covered our bodies, like cold water running down us. It all came back to us. She was our mother, yet not our mother. She took the staff aiming it at Killen. An invisible magic made Killen rise, throwing him up against a wall, knocking him out. Lily tried to go to him, but was stopped. Our mother had her hand on her shoulder. "Daughter, it was for the best. He might have hurt you, for he doesn't want you to become a queen." She stroked our hair, feeling it with her fingertips, and said, "What a mess you two are! It's not fit for a future queen. I must make you look proper. Come over here. I shall brush your hair." We were mesmerized in the thought of having our mother back from death, but I questioned in my mind why we were sent away from her. I heard an echoed, muffled voice, "Don't go with her." It was Januka. Our mother sent his son to silence him. We could do nothing, as we were being pulled like lifeless puppets by our hair. Everything seemed a blur as she began to brush our hair, humming the lullaby, but somehow different. The darkness crept around us, finally filling in our vision. Then I remembered. I snapped out of it in time to see her trying to undo the pendants from around our necks. I put my hand over mine. I remember now. You tried to kill us. Grandmother saved us when we were born. You were going to burn us in a great fire, but grandmother took us from you while you were weak. She took us to the human world to protect us. Before that, she took us to Colac for the forging of the pendants and naming us then. She closed the door so you couldn't follow. How could you want to kill your own daughters? The woman backed away. Your father loved me dearly, thinking I was my twin sister. We were wed after that night. I told him that I was not my sister, thinking he could learn to love me. I promised him enough power to defeat Colac and rule beside me. He instead left to be with my sister. They tried to run, but within a fortnight I had caught up to them. I placed them in the dungeon, not to the knowledge of your grandmother. I found myself with child. While I was weak, someone told of my sister to my mother, who set them free. After my child was born, I knew a child was born to my sister Lana. I was too weak to go after them at that time. My child was taken away from me by my mother in the darkness of night. When I gathered my strength, it was too late. You had been taken to the human world where the door was sealed. Your parents had to stay behind to seal the passage. When I found them, your father foolishly tried to protect my sister. Now he walks without knowledge of himself. He remembers nothing of you or my sister. I sent my Lana in the passage between worlds, where she now sleeps the sleep of death, and can never leave unless I die. Someone of my blood must find her and give her their hand to her to return her to their world. My mother didn't know. I placed an invisible mark on my daughter's left arm, the symbol of my master, a dragon's foot mark. It can only be seen by the eye of the crystal. We were shocked. It all overwhelmed us. As tears drew from our eyes, I looked at her. She was perfect in beauty, but her insides were rotten and decayed from hate. Her eyes, like a gurk's, showed no feeling as she moved her hand sideways. A curtain opened. A purple crystal sat on a pedestal. She forced us back until our backs were close in front of it. A purple fog began to come from it and surround us. She began mumbling words, trying to awaken its full power. She said she only needed one heir. She tried to persuade one of us to join her and become the one to reign with her. Lily and I held hands as a dome covered us, but it wouldn't last long before the fog broke through. Before the crystal consumed us, I heard Lily say, "Sisters always." Lady Lanu threw the staff down. She called for Januka's son Sarlo to finish me. Did that mean I wasn't her daughter? As he went for me, Januka jumped him, leaving him unable to do as she commanded. She took the medallion from around her neck. Your pendants might be powerful, but they can never defeat my medallion. She faced it toward us in her hand, mumbling some words that made the medallion glow a luminous purple. We did the same, not even knowing the words we spoke. Our pendants too began to glow. A beam of light came from hers and met ours. Her light began to devour ours, but before it hit us, Killen jumped in front of us, and for just a moment I saw Colac's face form in front of his. Letting out a loud, deafening roar, the light's beam became dim until it finally doused itself out, leaving Killen lying on the ground. Lily bent down to him. "Why, Killen, my life is not important to that of my princesses or of friends." She hugged his neck and whispered, "You won't die, I won't let you." The queen seemed amused. "Even your friends give their lives in vain, for now you will see what it's like to die." She was starting her spell once more when Tolo hit her, making her fall to the ground. He picked her up by her neck. "I will break your neck, evil witch." His blood pendant began to glow red with his anger. It began to burn his skin as he tightened his hand around her neck. She smiled as he released his grip from her neck. "A day earlier you could have killed me. Pity." He fell to the ground, making a thud as he hit the stone floor. She was unaffected by what he had done. She walked over to pierce his hand with her fingernail to drink of his blood when I said, "Colonna da." She was knocked backwards. I still don't know how I did it, but it stalled her for only a second. "This will finish you, daughters of Colac." She began to form a most powerful light, a light so powerful as to blister her hands. We closed our eyes, still holding hands, waiting for the blow. As she released it from her hands towards us, it was reverted back to her as if bouncing off an invisible wall. We opened our eyes. How could this be? Little Moro had come from out of the top of Lily's shirt pocket with his shield. That tiny shield had saved us and finished Lady Lanu. Instantly, she was on the ground. Steam from the heat came from her body. Tolo dying reminded us with his last breath. "Quickly pour the powder over her." We ran over to her, pouring all of the powder over her. Nothing happened. We looked at her body and thought of our friends. It seemed as though we had failed in what we had been sent to do. We both began to cry. A few tears fell from our cheeks onto the powder. Its substance became clear as water, flowing over her, making a stream of tears. Her body dissolved into the stream, where it took the form of a dragon made of water and tears. It flew over to our friends, Januka and his son. The water dragon started crying as it went over them. It flew through the walls of the castle to the outside, where we were told later it was seen crying over the land till it too dissolved into nothing. The land was healed, and so were our friends. The evil creatures and weevils disappeared to an unknown place, never to place foot in the world again. Except for the creatures the tears had touched, those creatures had become once more pure. All the evil markings had been washed away, giving the creatures a new birth. The only thing left of Lady Lanu was the piece of tusk of the mammoth. Taking it in my hand, I placed it in a puddle of tears that was left behind by the water dragon. There from the tusk formed the mammoth. It then slowly transformed into the beautiful gnome woman that Scout had so loved. She didn't know how she had gotten there, but asked about Scout. Was he safe? Behind us came the sound of tiny footsteps. Scout had found his way to us in time to see his love. He ran to her, bent on one knee as he placed his forehead on her hand. "My love, forgive me. There's nothing to forgive. I love you more today than my heart will let me speak." Bending to his level, giving him a kiss on his forehead, for gnomes don't kiss on the lips. Instead they kiss each other on the foreheads as a sign of affection. He hugged her tightly, whispering in her ear, "I shall never let you go." We looked back to see Januka talking to his son, who was now pure white like the pup, except for a strange marking, now grey, the mark of the dragon's foot. We were to find out later that Moro had found the shield in the forest. It was the power and turmoil pendant, linked into one. How it got there, no one knows except for the weevils who kept it to themselves. Everything was coming together as we all left the castle, going to the new world, filled with a forest of flowers, tall as trees that blossomed every color flower imaginable. We parted ways with Scout and his love Circa. We asked where he would go, and he said, "We will keep up the search for the Gnome King's son until he is found. Then we will return home to the king for his blessing to be wed." When they were leaving, Lily felt her pocket growing heavy, the bottom ripped out, letting Moro fall out. By the time he hit the ground, he was 3 times his tiny size. He sat on the ground examining his height. Lily said, "Well, I guess you will go home too then." Moro said, "Yep." Lily kissed his head and said, "I'll miss you and your temper." He shrugged his arms across one another. "Well, I guess I will miss you a little." He turned and ran after Scout and Circa. "Wait up, I am coming too." Tolo said, "I don't think this will be the last time we see them." Killen asked, "Home, princess?" Lily climbed on his back as I climbed on Tolo. We looked at one another. Together we asked, "Home."